All right, so let's get after it here. So this is a very particular agenda today. Um, we haven't quite seen the ripple effect in real estate yet of what we probably likely are going to see in the economy. So the fact that I'm challenging all of you to triple your income in the next 12 months is no small undertaking. And I want you to come to this training with an open heart and an open mind. And I'm going to really deliver upon that. Like wherever you are right now, how could you look at your business differently? Where most agents will kind of freak out a little bit in the next 12 months. And our goal together here is to put you on the other side of that. So regardless of this shift storm of a market that we're in, that's what I'm going to deliver. So ultimately, I mean, we are trading time for money. I don't think it's the end all be all, but the goal here is to help you guys make more money so that you can have more freedom, so that you can have more impact. So my promise is threefold. You know, some of you are not where you want to be financially, so I get that, but I want you to do it in a way where you have more time, less stress, and ultimately more impact in the things that really matter. So in terms of our time together today, if you know there's another level of growth in your business, maybe you're just not sure how to get there, you want to play more the game of business versus grinded out real estate agent, and you want to build a bigger business. And then also just to make this shift from agent to owner, you know, being a real estate agent it's a hard gig, right? And here's the reality of, you know, most of our situations in real estate is that you're not where you want to be financially. You're working hours that you don't want to work. You're more stressed out than is healthy, and you're missing out on the stuff that really matters. So my ask of you is just to not only know that this is possible, it's a delinking of the hours you put in versus the money you make. So it's not only possible, but it's predictable. And it's not even that hard, even in today's climate. And so that's what I'm going to unpack for you. I know that's a lot. I know it's a big promise. Here are the 5 big things that we'll learn. First and foremost, we have to get you to think like a business owner when it comes to leverage growth. The market is clearly changing. And so we have to adapt our approach. We can't play the game that the industry wants us to play. And that goes with the pipeline of business that you're generating, right? Increasingly, we're doing things their way versus controlling our destinies. And then also this myth that the only way to make more money is to put more hours in. And that's sort of traditional methods will have you thinking that. And then last but not least, how do you strategically implement tools and systems to start this scaling process? So a little bit about me. I love my role as a father and husband. Easily, hands down, the 2 hardest roles I have right now. I have a 12 and 14-year-old. This is when my kids were still like so happy to take pictures with me. You know, I have a podcast, Real Estate Business Builders. I wrote a book, Scale or Die. You can go to scaleordieBook.com if you haven't picked up a free copy, legit free, no shipping or anything like that. I love Jesus. That's another sort of random fact about me. I went from a solo agent doing 44 transactions in my first full year to is actually 453 transactions. And I worked 42 days that year. 5,000 plus families served in the journey. I think over 1,000 agents and team leaders that we've helped through Real Estate B School. I've got multiple 7-figure liquid net worth, and I work a really good calendar. My schedule is awesome, but it's been really, really hard. I want to share some of that pain with you so you don't have to suffer it. I've made every mistake that you could possibly make in business. And I didn't come to this industry with a silver spoon. I had a really chaotic childhood. My parents divorced. We were probably, I would say, like upper, lower class, if there's such a thing. Like we weren't living on the streets, but we were poor. We didn't have any money. My father was an alcoholic. He drank until I was 15 years old. And so I didn't have a father figure, not a whole lot of stability. I did, though, have student loans for a career I didn't pursue. I didn't have any sales, marketing, or business building experience when I got into real estate, but I did have a desire to grow, probably for some unhealthy reasons, and I was willing to bet on myself. So hopefully you're willing to do the same here. So this was 2007, November. I'm 6 months in real estate. I'm a new dad, only been married for 15 or 16 months. And it's like, holy cow, game is on. And I failed at first. I was working 7 days a week. I was busy. Looks like Anders is about 1 year old here. So 2008, the year I sold 44 homes, that's busy. I had a part-time assistant. So I was, I knew about leverage. I was pursuing leverage, but it still was working all the time. April 2010, Kendall was born. That's when the pressure was really on. I really had to figure it out. I was more out of bounds. I was more stressed. We had grown significantly. In 2010, we did 118 transactions. That was the first year of building my team. So I really had to make it work. And the good news is that it did work. This is our family is perfect picture. The reality of it, this is my family. One Christmas, this picture became our Christmas card, because the reality of doing business and doing life is that it gets really, really messy. And so hopefully I can share some of that yourself. And like I asked you before, the question is really, are you willing to take a risk and bet on yourself? When everything, all the headlines are doom and gloom, everything's gonna, prices are gonna come down. There's a real estate bubble, all of that stuff. Are you willing to lean in and go into the storm while agents are going to be running out? So step one, there are 5 steps. First step is to think like a business owner. Big picture concept here is that you don't have to be a business owner to think like one, but you do have to think like a business owner to become one. So I don't care where you are in your journey. I'm challenging you to start thinking about your real estate practice as a real estate business and begin with the end in mind. So this question here is something that really stuck with me. And this is from E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. He uses McDonald's and Ray Kroc's journey in business. And the question is, how would you have to think about your business differently if you were going to replicate it 10,000 times? Think about that. Like, you can't show 10,000 homes in once. You can't go on 10,000 listing appointments in a week, right? So you have to have this mindset. We're building the franchise prototype. I had a really good example of how I didn't want to do business. This is my dad, moved from Sweden to pursue the American dream. He opened a hair salon. Rene of Sweden, his first name was Rene. He was the E-Myth, right? He would, cut and color and do the high level tasks of a hair salon owner, but he would take out the trash, he would sweep, he would pay the bills, he would order supplies. Multiple times a year, his, shop here would get broken into. This front window would have bullet holes in it. Like, it was not an easy journey. He had no financial freedom. He died with no money and not a whole lot of relationships to show for it. And I think the pressure of, being a dad, being a husband, and being a failed business owner, ultimately he was in business for 33 years, but no freedom whatsoever. I do think that contributed to his, pushing into the disease of alcoholism and losing his family and losing most everything. And so that happens in business. We let business get the best of us. And it was happening to me early in my journey, right? I was on the phone. I was not showing up as a husband. I was not showing up as a dad. I wasn't taking care of my physical body, right? I was doing all the things that you sort of just fall into because we're on the transaction treadmill. Ruined our first family vacation. I worked on a deal the entire vacation. And Julie still remembers, my wife, and the deal didn't even close, right? So I'm not going to actually literally have you raise your hand, but how many times have you been working where your spouse or your children, clearly they don't want you to work on that deal. They just want you to be present with them. So the question I have for you and challenge around that is, do you have any limiting beliefs when it comes to building a real estate business? When I say quote unquote real, it's, do you think it's possible to make money through leverage? And leverage is systems, marketing systems and technology systems, and leverage through virtual assistants. Do you have any limiting beliefs around that? That you can someday sell 453 homes working 42 days. If you do, write down those limiting beliefs and just realize that they're not true, right? One of my coaching members, Dan Jones, who became a business coach for us, he was actually on my real estate team, got licensed to join my real estate team. He ended up leaving my real estate team, starting his own team. He did 65 transactions his first year with an administrator and his brother. And then I worked with him to go to 105, 175, 225, and then 250, 275 plus ever since. And all it took for him, because he was always in the technician role in different businesses that he was in, never really scaled. It was this mindset shift about how would he have to build his business so that he was able to disconnect his time from the money that he earned. I don't think he's missed a single day. Charlotte's much older now, and they have another child as well, but he hasn't missed a single day bringing her to school and picking her up from school. And he has videos of every day when he goes to pick her up. He created a YouTube video and shared it with me. I was literally sobbing watching this video. So how's that possible, right? How's it possible that, he's a grinder? How's it possible for him to do that? To go from 65 sides, working 80 hours a week, no part of it was sustainable, to ultimately scaling the business. So it's mindset shift. And that's what I want you to really remember here. So you've got to think long game in your business and begin with the end in mind. If you don't have a vision of building a business, you're not going to get there. Are you building the franchise prototype? Tony Robbins says that success in anything is 80% psychology. You've got to guard your heart and mind, right? The headlines, the news, all of that stuff, people telling you that you can't do it. You've got to get that out of there, and you need emotional leverage, right? So what's the thing that's going to get you out of bed? Building the future version of your business when other people are telling you that you can't do it. For me, it was creating a lifestyle for my family that they never thought was possible. That was my first sort of emotional why. And then it was impacting my team members. Then it was impacting Real Estate B School members and the ripple effect of that. And now I'm building a massive organization with a cloud-based real estate company called EXP. And I've got 1,427 agents that I serve on a regular basis in that organization, right? So you've got to have emotional leverage, the ripple effect of being able to do that. That's my emotional leverage. All right, step number 2, adapt your approach given the changing real estate market. So here's the guiding principle. Your ability to scale your business is directly correlated to your ability to serve your clients at the highest level, right? So many times we're burn and churn. We don't do a world-class sort of client experience. We don't have that world-class client experience. We just get through transactions and we're worried about where the next deal is coming from. So we're really not, delivering on the promises that we made to the folks that we're working with. And so there is this shift storm, right? I mean, take one letter out of shift and that's what it is that consumers are more demanding. Everything is instant gratification. Technology is rapidly evolving. I mean, real estate's a little bit behind, but even in real estate, it's coming in really hard. Structural industry changes with iBuyers and the big lawsuit around, buyer co-op and all of that. And then really the biggest thing here is that we're going to go through some stuff. The global economic challenges that we're having right now, the ripple effects on the US and real estate, all the factors, right? I actually do a monthly market update. You can message me on Facebook if you want a copy of it. I can send it to you. We just did a really good one yesterday that we looked at like 5 or 6 data points around that. We're not seeing it yet, but it's coming. So you need to know what's going on there. So message me on Facebook if you want a copy of that. So the question here is, how am I thinking about my business in terms of my ability to scale based on the service I provide? So what if you could take one client and turn it into 5 clients just by having systems in place to serve that one client at the highest level, and not all with your hours, right? These are technology bits or marketing bits while we're working with people that we can have in place to generate future business. So this is the game that we're playing. If you're at a computer and you can take a screenshot of this, there's no other way to slice it. This is every business. For the most part, this is every business, right? We do stuff on the left-hand side of the funnel. We have to have some way to connect with people, to set a time to meet with them, to present our services, to get them to be loyal to us, and then do the thing we promised so we can ultimately get paid. If we do this right in any business, it's a virtuous cycle. And the clients for life feeds back into the front end, and we don't have to waste money on the front end. right? We turn one deal into 5 deals if you have the right systems in place. That's the key. So really quick story, Drew Frick, fraternity brother of mine back in the day. We're on a guy's trip and Drew and I are talking about spring break with our families. I'm like, we're going to Disney. We're going on a Disney cruise for I think it was like the 3rd or 4th time at that point. We're not cruisers, but a Disney cruise, something about it was just unbelievably awesome to us. Not only did I get Drew and his family, Jean and their 2 daughters, to come with us on our Disney cruise, I got them to take their kids out of school for a whole week because it wasn't the same week as their spring break, because I was a raving lunatic about how awesome a Disney cruise was. And it was awesome. And they've since gone on other Disney cruises. This is a handwritten note from a flight attendant to my wife and I, right? Jordan said, thank you for, flying with us today and being Gold and Platinum Advantage members. And then right afterwards, you leave the plane and you pull up your phone. Right afterwards, I was sent a Net Promoter Score survey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this business to a friend or colleague? Net Promoter Score, if you're not running it in your business, I don't care how big your business is, there's easy ways to do this. It is a must, because either it's a 6 or below, and it's not great service you're providing, you got to get better, or it's a 9 or 10. And then those are the folks that are going to take a stand and yell your name when they hear anyone talking about real estate. And it's really about rethinking your funnel, and get clear on what makes you different, and document the process of client care and what it looks like. In Real Estate B School, we have all of the tools and systems around client care, all of the emails and touch points, and we send out a lot of videos through the process. It's all managed through Trello, but you have to start thinking about your business differently if you're going to even be able to survive, right? This requires a response. There aren't going to be as many agents in real estate in 3, 5, 10 years from now. So you have to take a stand on what your response will be. Dave Hook, very rarely are you able to scale a business based on this approach. And Dave, when I met him, he was at like 80 or 90 transactions, working 80 or 90 hours a week. His wife, Jenny, was pregnant with their first child. They've got 3 kids now. And he works about 90 minutes a week in his business. So it went from 90 hours to 90 minutes. He owns multiple businesses now. And his business at 250 plus transactions is still mostly, I think 75% is generated from repeat and referral business, which comes from the job that he does during the transaction, right? So this is possible. You don't have to fall into the trap of paying for expensive leads and all that. In terms of shifting your service, this is where it gets really, really fun. Study other service industries, right? So when I go on a Disney cruise, or when I go to a great restaurant, or I leave, I'll tell some other stories here in a little bit, but when I left the airplane and I received that email, that leaves a mark with me, because I'm looking for ways to surprise and delight our clients, right? Make it fun, embrace the challenge, and utilize technology and systems and even a virtual assistant to be able to run these systems for you, and make it life or death. I really do think it is. The agents that are able to get out of the game that the industry wants you to play, or not the industry, but the folks that are preying on us agents, all the marketers, the third party, lead portals and those sorts of things. And then track your progress. You need to do Net Promoter Score, and then get social proof. That's the lifeblood of the business. So high quality, low cost leads, stop playing their game. I've mentioned this a couple of times here, but we've got to fill our pipeline. This is the guiding principles, that marketing is hands down the biggest leverage point in your business. And it requires letting the world know that you can serve their real estate needs like no other agent in your market. The question I have for you, am I truly using marketing as leverage and building lead generation pillars that can run without me? In Real Estate B School, we have 7 lead gen levers. Each are good for 25 to 50 plus transactions when fully implemented. The challenge in real estate is that most folks do not take the time to reach the oil, right? So the image back here is that you have one oil rig, whatever you call these things. You've got to build it out. You've got to drill down. You've got to get it running. And then it's running. Okay. We build a second one. And I don't know how they actually build these. So if you're in the oil business and they build them all for the same time, give me a break. But one at a time, get 25 transactions out of that one. That's going to run on its own. Start the next one. The one that's at 25 is going to increase because it's systems driven. It's not people driven. The next one's going to percolate up to 25. And then you've got 50 and 25. That's 75 transactions. You move on to a third. The 50 goes to 75, right? It works its way out. And marketing is massive, massive leverage. And stop playing the game. The game is that I was just looking through the numbers of a guy. I only coach 4, I handpicked, and I don't say that egotistically, but I work with 4 folks one-on-one. And one of the guys I work with he really has a heart for ministry, and he wants to get out of the grind of real estate so that he can do this bigger thing. So that excites me working with him. I mean, man, if I can get this guy, and I've heard him speak and teach and preach, and he's just amazing, but he sells like 110 homes a year. But I looked at his lead sources. I was so sad. About 60% of his business is upnest and all these, essentially people becoming a better marketer than you are. And you rationalize, you're like, well, I give 35%, but it's a $10,000 commission check and it's $6,500. It's like, but it's just out of economic model. And then you're just a hostage to someone that's a better marketer than you, right? You need to here's the key. You need to tell your clients stories, right? There's a story brand. I think it's the name of the book by Donald Miller, where essentially you stop talking about yourself. We're very ego driven as agents. Number one, this, number one, that. You start telling the story of your clients and do case studies on your website about, like, I worked with this, first time home buyer, or this trade up buyer. We sold and then we bought, and there was some turbulence and we got through it, and get some video testimonials of those. You do 5 or 6 of those case studies telling their stories. It is game over. Social proof is everything in marketing. So here's the power of social proof. Best dentist in 28277. You can see Ballantyne Dentistry, 1,100 reviews. This is my dentist. I went in one time, I was checking out, and the girl that was checking me out asked me, she's like, she picks up her phone. She's like, have you given us a 5-star review yet online? I'm like, no, I haven't. She's like, open up a browser. She said, type in this, click on that. Did you have a 5-star experience? I'm like, yeah, I did. It was awesome. She said, click that button. She's like, leave a few words, hit submit. In probably less than 2 minutes, she had solicited. Essentially, I wouldn't have done it if there was a little sign there that asked me to do it. So someone told her to do that. And I asked her immediately, I said, do you get paid extra to do that? And why do you think the owners are having you do that? I knew the owners. They were on radio with me for a long period of time, spent a lot of money on mass media. And she said, and I don't know if this is a quote, but really close, the owners told us that mass media, radio and TV, they're not working as good as our online reviews. So they're trying to have us focus on Google reviews right now. And I was like, holy cow. I went back to the team and I Googled ours, and I'm like, we had 60 reviews and we weren't the best agent, right? Look up best real estate agent in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was not us. Went back to the team and I implemented it that day, that we're going to solicit from everyone that does business with us. And 1,500 reviews, high performance real estate advisors. I've since exited this business, but this system I put in place, and now it regularly with Google local service ads as a little bit of spend in conjunction with 1,500 reviews, a lot of business comes from that right now. So Dave Friedman is another good example. I met Dave when he was doing 65. The year I met him, he did 65 transactions. He did 35 the year before. He was, again, strained. I wouldn't say failing marriage, but strained for sure, because he was working all the time, 75, 80 plus hours a week. And he was making about 150 take home. So he was making decent money, but not great money, because he's wasting a bunch of money on stuff. So fast forward a few years later, he just recently spent 30 days in the Galapagos Islands without any technology. So completely in the owner's seat of his business. He makes about 10 times more take-home money than he did when I started working with him. And it's not playing the game that everyone wants you to play, right? His business multiplies on itself because he's not in the I wouldn't say transaction treadmill, right? It's a lot of transactions he does, but he's not, doing the up nest and the referral marketing. He's generating a lot of his own business, which is awesome. So shift your marketing. You got to track everything. You got to view it as the pillars, right? How can I put a pillar in place that's good for 25 to 50 transactions? Get that one working, then move on to the other one. And imagine you couldn't spend money on any leads. What would your business look like? How would you treat your database? How would you treat social proof? How would you treat social media if you could only get deals from those pillars? Install a process for getting testimonials. That's where the virtuous cycle, that pipeline I showed you, that's where it gets really exciting. And then use those testimonials in your marketing. So step number 4, this is the big one. This is where I want you to just take a deep breath and just lean into this one. I'm going to teach you something during this step that will change your life forever if you're open to it. The guiding principle here is that the income you've been making in real estate is simply the result of the choices you've made with where to spend your time. That's sort of obvious on the one hand, but also very convicting if you're not where you want to be financially. Here's the question, and I want you to just think about this. I'll just blurt some out. What are the most dollar productive activities in a real estate business? Dollar productive. There are only 5. It's prospecting, which is lead generation or new business development, lead follow-up. So all your nurture systems, your text sequences, your, that sort of thing. A is appointments, but only the first-time consultations with buyers and sellers. N is negotiate, which is negotiating to get a buyer under contract or a seller their house sold. And then S is systems. So PLANS, plans. Those are the only things that are dollar productive in the business. So ask yourself, like, man, in the last 7 days, where have I spent my time? I was in the car a lot. I went to a closing. I dropped off flyers. I picked up a check. I met an inspector. I showed some homes. I ran some personal errands. All these things we do. I put listings in the MLS. I took pictures. I designed brochures. All of them are important, but they're not making you money. So the question you have to ask yourself, and this is where it gets a little scary. If you're not where you want to be financially, the question is, are you spending 80+% of your time doing those 5 activities? And if you're not, there's a process to get you there. So it's not like you can't instantly just do PLANS, right? All the other things need to get done, but there's a process to get you there. So the question is, I already went through this. Wait, did I go the wrong way? Yeah, I went the wrong way. So the question is then, why aren't you spending more of your time doing the most dollar productive things in your business? And it's just a series of delegations and systems and, committing to getting out of the low pay, low passion activities. We've got an exercise in Real Estate B School that we study where we spend our time. We're honest with ourselves about where we spend our time because we want to make more money in less time with less stress. And we just put all the stuff we do on a scale of passion and pay. And we hold on to the things that we're passionate about. And some of the things we're not that passionate about, but they pay really well. And every quarter we just shed stuff off our plate. That's why I'm able to work, essentially 4 days a week from 12 to 5:30 in my time zone. I've got an awesome work schedule because I've followed these processes myself, right? The cool thing and the not so cool thing is that time is finite. There's only 138 hours. Wait, 138 or 168? 7 times 24, 168 hours in a week. And so between sleep and doing stuff outside of work, how many hours are you going to put into your business? But the cool thing is that we all have the same hours. So I work, I have the same amount of hours in a week that you do. So what decisions have I made over the last decade to end up where I'm at? And what decisions could you make over the coming, 1, 3, 5 years to be in a different place financially? And this is where it gets hard because this can come off a little bit preachy. I understand that it is unbelievably extraordinary times, like especially coming off the last couple of years and just all that's going on. And, some of you are like moms with kids and you're cooking and cleaning and selling a ton of homes. And maybe you're not getting the support of your spouse that you think you just should deserve. Maybe no one's ever taught you a concept of leverage, personal and business leverage. So I get it. But here is the thing that will change everything for you. So this is what we call the Business Freedom Index. And this is a stop checking your email, pay attention for a second. This is a calculation that you're going to do it two ways. First way is you're going to calculate your actual Business Freedom Index. And it's simply the amount of money you take home. Well, the amount of money you make pre-tax divided by the annual hours that you work. So let's say you make $250,000 a year pre-tax. That's your AGI, adjusted gross income, on your tax returns. Let's say you work 50 hours a week, which is 50 hours times 50 weeks is 2,500 hours in a year. It's $250,000 divided by 2,500 hours, or $100 per hour. Let's say you make $100,000 a year and you work 50 hours a week. 100,000 divided by 2,500 is 20. What is that? 100 divided by, I can't do the math. Is it like, it's $40 an hour, I think. Whatever it is, it's a lot less, right? But you could be working the same amount of hours and earning. I could work, a 20-hour work week and make $1 million a year, right? So what's your number currently, and where do you want it to be? When I first ran this calculation, I only took home $37,000 my first 10 months in real estate. I worked 2,000 hours and it was $18.50 an hour. I declared in that moment, when I first learned this concept, we didn't call it Business Freedom Index back then, but I declared that I would not be doing that anymore. And I declared that I was going to make $500,000 working 2,000 hours. So I wanted to make $500,000 a year, and I wanted to work 40 hours a week, which is 2,000 hours a year. So 500,000 divided by 2,000 is $250 an hour. Once I knew that number, $250 an hour, and I knew I made $1,850, guys, here's where you could triple your income. It makes you stop wasting money on stuff. Because when I netted $37,000, I could have netted 100,000 more. That was the year I grossed 250,000. And I could have taken home $100,000 more, which would have added $50 an hour to that calculation. So instead of 18, I could have been at closer to 70, right? So you got to stop spending money on stuff that's not bringing in a massive return. And then look at where you're spending your time. Get rid of the things, get them off your plate. Everything that you can outsource for less than $25 an hour, that still has to happen, but you can't be the one doing it if you want to make more money, right? So in this one concept, and a lot of it is mindset, you can achieve all of it just by understanding this right here. And in Real Estate B School, our members go through a time study process where we really get nitty gritty on this, because this is the game. Where you spend your time, and it's not an instant thing, right? It takes a little bit of time to unpack some bad habits, and you're wound up in things that aren't making you a whole lot of money. So we need to identify those things and then unwind you doing those things. Stacy Peterson is like the queen of business leverage. I think that's the name I give her. She tripled her sales working with me. She was the first person to pay me to do coaching back in 2013. Sold her business for a 7-figure valuation. And 1 year, it was the year before they did over 300. She did 222 transactions. She was out of production with one administrator. So in terms of just understanding leverage at the highest level, there is no one better. And she's currently one of our business coaches as well. So it isn't about, and she went from working 60 to 70 hours a week, just pissing her husband, Seth, off for being constantly obsessed in the deal, to complete freedom in the business, making more money, right? So it is possible. So in terms of shifting your productivity, you have to start thinking in your highest and best use. And like literally on a daily basis, I'm in my planner, I'm designing my day. I'm deleting stuff in my calendar. I'm thinking about, where did I waste time this week? I'm consciously doing this stuff. And you have to have time blocks in your calendar. Work on business. So put them in your calendar. I challenge you as a homework to put 3 60-minute time blocks. You may not know what to do, but when you're in Real Estate B School, you have all this stuff to do. And we have a cadence that we follow, 1 or 2 projects at a time, where you're working on your business to build a foundation to be able to grow and scale without you putting more hours in it. So calculate your current and desired BFI and obsess over it. Business Freedom Index, right? If you're at $50 an hour and you want to get to 250, write 250 on an index card 20 times over. Pink, yellow, and green neon, little index cards, write 250 per hour. So you're constantly reminded about how you're not doing something that's that high dollar productive. And then get on the same page with the loved one, commit to a path to make more money in less time. Maybe it's real estate B school. I would love if it's real estate B school, but you need to be following a simple path and roadmap and get buy-in from your spouse as well. All right. Last step here is to strategically implement tools and systems to scale your business today. A business is simply a system of systems. So here's the guiding principle, is that not only is it possible to scale your business without losing your life, but it's predictable when you have a clear roadmap in place. And here's the question. Based on where you are at today, in terms of the hours you work, the money you get paid, the stress you endure, how confident are you in terms of where you're going? Like, scale of 1 to 10, are you a 10 out of 10? I'm just like, I am so on track with my plan. My income's increasing. My hours are going down. I have limited stress, right? I have more money than I need. I'm saving what I want. I'm giving what I want. I'm just total financial freedom. That's a 10. A 1 is like, you don't have a path at all. You have no plan. You're not on any kind of roadmap. You're not following any guidance whatsoever toward making this shift of complete financial and time freedom, right? Scale of 1 to 10. And so there is a path, right? So Real Estate Business Growth Navigator, 6 stages of growth, everything from the Business Freedom Index, the time you put in, the emotions you feel, the questions you should be asking, what it takes to get to the next level, and the members you'd have in there. And it is about the more money. I want to check that box with you so that you'll have more freedom and ultimately more impact. So the question is, you guys have heard this, like you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with. So the question is, who do you hang out with? There was a study that said 95% of your success or failure in life is determined by the people you hang out with or associate with. And another study said, those who hang out with high achievers, they elevate, right? They improve their own performance. And if you hang out with, we see this in kids, if you're hanging out with like the not so good kids, your behavior is going to go down, right? So your performance suffers. And then if you have multiple strong social networks to get early access to valuable information, you're going to ultimately earn more money and receive more recognition. Last case study, I think, is Cody Riddle. I met Cody in 2015, coming off of, I think she was like 15 years in the business then, did about 250,000 GCI. She was ready to give it all up. I said, you have already put in the tough part. You already know the game of real estate at a very, very high level. Fast forward, she's been doing $1.5 million to 2 million of GCI, financially completely free. Last year, I think she took 5 or 6 weeks of vacation, and it was all revolved around building out the operating manual for her business, where there's no guesswork on, how to do a listing, how to do a buyer, how to nurture leads, how to make the business run like an actual business. So in terms of shifting your approach, you've got to take a leap of faith here and get out of your comfort zone and just trust that there's a path. And you've got to start thinking like a business owner. Even if all of your money is made just by real estate agent activities, you have to have this mindset shift toward business owner. And then growth isn't easy. You've got to expect the tough days, but then ultimately create the vision for your business and break it down. So we covered a lot. I get it. I threw a lot at you. Hopefully you took a lot of notes. The reason I do this, my passion, is to help you build a highly profitable business through the use of sustainable systems and empower people so you can make more money, experience less stress, and take more time off. So if you want to learn how to go further faster, if you'll allow me, I'm going to tell you very quickly what I'm up to. I'm looking for very specific agents that want to scale. Maybe it's not to 1 million. Maybe it's to go from 100,000 to 500,000 during this coming shift storm. Guys, this shift storm will last 2 to 3 years. This is not going to be like a blip. If you don't realize what's coming, that's another reason you might consider aligning with yourself with somebody that has a little bit of an awareness with what's going on and how it might impact you. But I'm looking for folks that want to scale while most people are just looking to preserve what they've built. And it's called our Business Foundations Case Study Program. I'm looking for our next case study. So it is about more money, more freedom, more impact. And we're a match if you're less than 500K GCI, if you're business minded, if you can commit some time, I would say 3 hours a week, those work on business time blocks. If you're coachable, you can go against the grain. If you're tired, if you're ready to grow and you don't want to give up your personal life, we will work really well together. You get access to everything I've ever built. Everything I've ever built, all of our foundational tools, all of our drivers, live coaching twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, 4 quarterly planning sessions with me personally. Twice a year, we do 2-day digital summits. The next digital summit we have is unbelievable. I just finalized the agenda today. Unbelievable, the quality of folks we have coming to speak with us. Live weekly sales and production mastermind. Once a month, we do that market update. We had a guy come on that's acquired 200 properties, and he showed us exactly how to use those same methods to list properties. Unbelievable. And then access to a community of business builders, which is awesome. All 4 of our drivers. So it's all about attracting buyer and seller prospects, converting them to a consultation, then a client, delivering world-class service to clients, and then scaling. And there's probably 72 robust tools and systems that you'll get access to through the 4 drivers. And ultimately, I want you to learn from my mistakes. I want you to scale your business, and not have to suffer the pain or go through the trial and error that I did. Like I said, I went from a struggling agent that was not able to be at home and present, 44 sides in my first full year, 453 sides just 5 years later. I did it right. And I did it working 1 day a week. And I built a net worth that was considerable. And ultimately, I made it my mission to help others do the same in their business. So there's no long-term commitment. If you're not sure you want to really, really commit to this, it's $497 per month. Cancel at any time with 30 days notice. Most opt in for our annual plan. If I am going to take the leap of faith, I'm going to do it. There's 100 live coaching sessions that you'll get access to on the annual plan. That's in addition to the 50 sales and production masterminds. That's in addition to the 4 quarterly business planning workshops. That's in addition to the two 2-day digital summits that you'll get access to, plus the 72 tools and systems. And so most opt for the annual plan if you want to get after it. So here's the guarantee, 100% results guarantee. You do the work, you show up, you follow our process. We've been at this for 9 years now. You will, I'm just looking at a question over there. I'll answer that in a second. It'll work, but zero money back, right? If you're not sure, if you're not committed to growing and scaling your business, then I would opt in for the monthly. And then I'm also putting in some bonuses. So every intensive workshop we've done, going back to 2014, you'll get access to all of our digital summits. We went digital in 2020 with April. So 2022, 21. So this will be our 6th digital. You have access to all of them, all of our past weekly specialist trainings and all of our production masterminds and the team toolbox as well. So if you onboard a team member, we have all the lead conversion training and role play calls. This was a quote in my heavy build years that I probably looked at this multiple times a day. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So conceive, believe, achieve is really the key. So become our next case study. This is an invitation. I do not take it lightly. The goal is to have you come out the other side of our time together with a completely different business. So go to getbusinessfoundations.com. That's getbusinessfoundations.com. I'm not going to have time to check out the toolbox or any of that stuff, but go to getbusinessfoundations.com. It lays it all out there for you. Much love, much respect. We'll talk to you guys soon. Be good.